deal with airplane peanuts.
Last weekend, we attended the first annual Sunshine Comedy Festival in Tampa, Florida to sit down for exclusive interviews with dozens of comics and recap the entire 4-day festival for our subscribers right here on Joke World. But unfortunately for our loyal subscribers, it was at this festival that we made the biggest mistake in the history of this channel. The Sunshine Comedy Festival started off great, with over 50 world-class comedians making the voyage to be part of this inaugural weekend, ranging from established headliners like Mark Normand and David Lucas to plenty of young and hungry up-and-comers.
Uncle Laser, what's the most white trash thing you've done since arriving in Florida this weekend?
I went to one of them strip clubs up yonder, and it was $100 cover to get in.
Damn.
But it was all you could drink alcohol for free. And they had a whirlpool jacuzzi down there in the back, you know what I'm saying? So me, salt, pepper, cinnamon, and nutmeg, she was a guy. We got in there, and I didn't even get chlamydia, right? But I got staph infection. It had the consistency, the water had the consistency of egg drop soup. All right.
Everything was going swell to kick things off on Thursday. Show started around 4 p.m. and by 10:30, we were in our seats ready to watch the Mark Normand and Friends show and grab our exclusive interview with Mark afterwards. At this point, we'd already interviewed a few comedians to start the day, such as Cam Patterson and Ralph Cruz, so heading into our conversation with Kevin Hart, the vibes were immaculate. The show ended a little before 1 a.m. and by 2 o'clock in the morning, we were sitting on stage with Chief Queef, ready for our first in-person interview with the Joke Machine. This was the third time we interviewed Mark, and honestly, this conversation was one of the best interviews we've ever done. And walking away from day one of the fest with Mark Normand and Cam Patterson interviews in our pocket felt amazing, especially because both these guys were only in town for one night before leaving to do other shows. This high did not last long at all, however, because the next morning is when reality set in. The Mark Normand and Cam Patterson interviews that we only had one night to capture looked great on film, but one key detail was missing: the audio. There was no audio. No audio at all. Like zero. Like it was just shh. No audio. Kinda like September 11th, I'm still not exactly sure what happened, but I'll never forget. The only bright side to all of this, I guess, is that we checked the audio Friday morning, so we avoided making this mistake the rest of the weekend. Because if we would have recorded all of these interviews and walked away with literally no content for this whole festival, I would have actually been forced to kill myself. But luckily, we were able to quickly learn this lesson the hardest way possible and continue to interview plenty of other great comedians, asking them all sorts of questions related to the comedy world, as well as some more specific questions related to the Sunshine Comedy Fest.
Tim, there's over 50 comedians performing at this festival. In your opinion, who's the most underrated person here?
Sean Gardini, obviously, by 100 million miles. And I think everyone who is actually cool knows that.
In your opinion, who's the most underrated comic here?
Fuck. Underrated? I have to look at the lineup. Who's here?
Just name everyone that's...
I'm so used to... I've literally... Hold on, stay there.
Andy Haynes.
Andy Haynes? Andy, or I would say Column. I think Column Tyrell is incredible. So I'd say Andy or Column.
At this festival, in your opinion, who's the most underrated comic here?
Underweight or
Underrated. Who doesn't get enough praise in the landscape of comedy?
Oh, probably Dean Stanfield.
Most underrated? That's a tough question. Let me go Zach O'Ryan.
Okay, who's the most overrated?
What if I was like, oh, dude, easy, bro?
I mean, I didn't even know that there were 50 comedians that were asked. That's all. I didn't even know I was on this festival till like a week ago. Oh, you know, he's not underrated, but he's blowing up. Cam Patterson is a fucking fan favorite right now. I would he's everywhere. He's amazing. Not underrated, but he should be on your radar.
And we even found out that the Mark Normand audio curse extended well past just our janky operation.
We've had 3 interviews with no audio so far, but
Dude,
we're getting
my
done.
homie just filmed Mark Normand at Tampa Theater yesterday, and he said the lapel just recorded an hour of nothing.
Are you serious?
He's got a curse on him, dude.
So he's probably having a whole weekend of people being
no
like,
audio.
no audio.
But he had shotgun mics, so like the audio's still solid. I just watched the clip. It's crazy.
Fucking up the audio with Mark and Cam not only hurt because they're arguably the 2 biggest names on the entire lineup, but also just because they were pretty good conversations that I'm bummed you'll never get to hear, including Cam Patterson's reaction to finding out he won Joke World New Coming Comedian of the Year, which seemed like a legit special moment for him and his dad, who was standing off camera. I also just realized that might have been a spoiler to anyone who hasn't watched the Joke World Awards reveal video yet, so check that out right after this video if you want to know who won all 6 of our fan-voted categories. Aside from Cam Patterson, we also got to ask Mark Norman about the Cat Williams podcast drama, but presented the question to ask him as if he was actually Kevin Hart, which is just a perfect storm of inside jokes and topical news all wrapped into one clip that I just wish we could have posted so fucking badly. And to make matters even worse, the owner of Side Splitters went out of his way to let us film with Mark in the main stage room. So my deepest apologies to Brian and to Mark and to Cam and to all 400,000 subscribers. This is honestly so embarrassing. At this point, almost every major city has some sort of comedy scene that tries to organize a festival of sorts in order to showcase their local talent, give away some awards, and build up a regional audience that will hopefully like what they see and start coming out to more live shows. But what takes a festival located outside of one of the 3 major comedy markets to the next level of popularity and longevity is the ability to book top-tier names outside their local scene. Adding big names to festival lineups instantly helps with all the marketing efforts and provides an insane amount of credibility in the eyes of fans, which the Sunshine Festival did a great job of. This lineup definitely leaned heavy towards New York comedians, which in my opinion is a surefire way to have a great weekend of stand-up. Guys like Mark Normand, Mike Cannon, Troy Bond, and Colin Terrell all murdered on stage, along with some big-time live podcasts like B&Ian with Jordan. There were also plenty of killers on this lineup from LA and Austin, such as Josh Wolf, Jeff Dye, Jeremiah Watkins, David Lucas, Cam Patterson, and so many more, including my personal MVP of the fest, Ryan Joseph. Remember that name, he's gonna be huge. Honestly, I don't think anyone had a bad set all weekend, which is not only a testament to those comics, but also to the bookers of this fest and the audience members who bought tickets.
Florida was fun. Shout out to the Sunshine Comedy Festival.
Oh, you did that, huh?
Yeah.
Was it?
It was awesome, start to finish. Listen, did the weather cooperate? No, not really. But with even that, it was so much fun.
That's a fucking blast.
All the crowds were awesome. All the shows were run smoothly. You got to hang out with a lot of comics you don't see. A lot of great, like, fun hang people in the same place.
Laura
Radio.
Silgar was there, right?
And Laura, and Matt Broussard,
Yeah.
Ian Fidance, Catherine Blandford.
It's a good crew.
Bianca, she's from Austin. I forget her last name. I think it starts with a P. She's a good hang. Nicole Amy Schreiber.
Okay.
It was fun, man. Jordan Jensen brought her dog. I didn't get to meet her dog. Rosebud and Andy Haynes were there. We went to a fun comic brunch. They brought their kids. Casey Balsham let me hold her baby for like almost 4 minutes.
That's good.
Despite its name, this festival was not all sunshine and rainbows. When it comes to the downsides of this weekend, the 2 main qualms that stick out were number 1, the weather, which is obviously out of anyone's control, and number 2, the distance between venues. Over the course of the 4 days, there were moments when the sun came out, but overall it hovered around a misty 50 degrees, which is fine for January, but it would have been sick to have it 75 and sunny for the Sunshine Fest. Enough about the weather though, the only real problem with this festival was the commute between Side Splitters Comedy Club in Tampa and the Coastal Creative venue in St. Pete. These 2 buildings were home to 99% of the most sought after shows with all the biggest names. But a quick search on Google Maps will show these 2 venues are nearly 40 minutes away from each other without traffic. I don't know how many DUIs this caused last weekend in Florida, but aside from that, the distance between the 2 best venues made it feel more like an insanely lucky weekend to be in Tampa with all these great comics who happen to be in town, rather than a comedy festival that everyone's a part of together. Personally, the best part about other comedy festivals I've attended is the ability to pop in and out of so many different shows. But at the Sunshine Festival, if you want to see a show at Side Splitters, by the time you complete the journey to the club, you've basically committed to being there all night, which takes away from the festival show hopping mentality and basically makes it impossible to just see one person in a certain lineup at one place, then go catch another show or live podcast at another. Tampa is rapidly growing in comedy popularity right now. Besides all the clubs running down here like Side Splitters, The Gimmick, The Funny Bone, Coastal Creative, and Sunshine City, there's also been 2 massive comedy events in Tampa in just the last few months alone. Between the Sunshine Festival and the Carnival of Combat, where Louis J. Gomez defeated Tim Butterly in a boxing match to win the right of legal adoption.
It's been about 2 months since you've been legally adopted by Louis J. Gomez. What's the worst part about being his legal son so far?
It's just, it's a dream. It's, you know, I was ready to shit on this guy and say, like, he never picks me up on time. He's inattentive. It's all about his girlfriend, and, you know, but he's the most tender, nurturing guy. It's crazy. And I had to get punched in the face by him to find that out.
Yeah. Overall, I would give the first ever Sunshine Comedy Festival a strong 8.9 out of 10. This is definitely an event I will be returning to every single year it's running, and I'm excited to keep watching it grow. Thank you so much to Zach, Brian, and everyone else over at Sunshine that helped us out through the entire festival. Thank you to all the comedians who let us grab these interviews. Shout out to all the subscribers who said what's up, and thank you for watching this video.
If y'all ain't fucking with Joke World, who are you fucking with?
At Joke World. That's it, at Joke World.
And the world is WRLD.
That's a great YouTube channel, Joke World. Check it out.